I thought that Donald Trump went too far, frankly. He's disavowed white supremacy at least a dozen times. It's never enough for the left. I think he was using some of their language when he didn't really have call to do so. And of course, they didn't accept it from him. They mocked him, said he was disingenuous. As you point out, National Public Radio, which is a public broadcaster in the States, actually blamed him. I don't know. What was the result of his comments yesterday? Did anyone soften their heart towards Trump on it?
Yes, but most of them were conservatives or Republicans. Many of the calls for him to say something were coming from Republicans. And I think by making that statement, he gave a lot of Republicans confidence to stick with him on the other issues here, which are immigration and gun control. And I think that had he not said something, he would have seen some more serious defections from his own party, not because they believe the president is a racist, but because the media pressure is simply massive. I have actually never seen anything like this. The media are running a 24-hour, round-the-clock campaign to demonize Trump and Trump supporters. So it's remarkable that he's held his coalition together as well as he has. I think people understand that the other side has overstepped the mark, that they've jumped the shark, so to speak. Beto O'Rourke telling Trump he can't come to El Paso, people taking cheap shots at the president, people saying that he had something to do with this shooting in El Paso, which he clearly did not. Even the shooter in his manifesto said that Trump did not. And yet they're blaming Trump. The argument, according to National Public Radio, which is publicly funded, nevertheless, they have said that Trump is responsible for the mass shootings because he used the word invasion to describe hundreds of thousands of people coming across the border illegally every month. And the shooter in El Paso also used the word invasion. Now, the shooter also talked about environmental catastrophe and talked about things like a basic income grant. Those are left-wing buzzwords. We don't see people on the left being blamed for motivating him. I mean, the shooter basically was crazy. Most of these shooters are crazy. The Ohio shooter, the one in Dayton, a city I know very well, he had far left-wing views. He supported Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, particularly Warren. Yet those views, it's widely accepted, probably had nothing to do with the shooting. He had had paranoid fantasies. He had spoken to friends many times about wanting to shoot up a bar. He had been reported to police. Nothing had been done. So there's a case to be made, perhaps, for laws that allow someone's firearms to be taken away if they show mental health problems, if there are complaints about them and so forth. Those laws can be abused, but I think you can provide enough safeguards. And several states have such laws already. The issue here is that nobody's making a big deal out of the Ohio shooter's radical left-wing views, and he echoed a lot of the crazy things that have been said by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other Democratic politicians, like calling the migrant facilities at the border concentration camps and so on. He's echoed a lot of their rhetoric, but no one's making an issue out of that. Mm-hmm. What's going on right now is two things. First of all, it's the usual media bias. This is the media and Hollywood trying to get the country into a frenzy to blame Donald Trump for these shootings. They have an open mic at the moment to do it. They have elected officials who are repeating this. The mayor of Dayton is a Democrat, mayor of El Paso, representatives from El Paso, a very Democratic city, even though Texas overall is fairly conservative. They have that platform and they're using it because this is all about getting rid of Trump in 2020. The second thing that's happening is a much more profound problem, and that is that this country cannot yet decide what to do about illegal immigration. That we tried one method under Obama, which is essentially a creeping amnesty, making more and more people legal in the United States, even if they came here illegally, and trying to come up with solutions that allow millions more who entered illegally or overstayed their visas to stay here before there's any sort of border security to make sure it doesn't happen again. So Obama basically tried one approach. Trump's trying a different approach, which is to build a wall, enforce the law, prevent people from claiming asylum when they don't really deserve it, closing loopholes and all that sort of thing. The country has recoiled in some ways because of the media, but has recoiled against seeing those laws enforced. We hear reports from Democrats about kids in cages and all of that. And so the country is really at a standstill over this issue, and it's become something that divides the parties. That if you want the law enforced, you're a Republican. If you don't want it enforced, you're a Democrat.
That's an excerpt from the Ezra Levant show. Every day I do a video monologue and then I interview an interesting guest and then I end by reading my hate mail. But you've got to subscribe to it, which you can do at therebel.media/shows.